learns a lesson. Bheem was the strongest of the 5 Pandavas. He had broad shoulders and a very well-built body. He always carried his mace with him. He wielded it easily and skillfully. He was always ready to help the weak and the poor. Bheem had fought many wicked giants and had defeated each one of them. But all these victories had made Bheem very proud. He began to think that there was no one stronger than him. He bullied people when he didn't get his way. One day, he was walking through a forest. When he came to a narrow path, an old monkey lay across the path. The monkey didn't show any sign of moving, even after Bheem came quite close to him.
Hey, move aside.
Ordered Bheem. But the monkey paid no attention to him.
Out of my way, you monkey.
Shouted Bheem. The monkey just turned his back to Bheem. This made Bheem very angry. Till then, nobody had ever disobeyed Bheem.
Are you deaf or stupid? Didn't you hear what I said? Out of my way at once.
The monkey now turned to face Bheem.
But I don't want to move. If you are in hurry, you can jump over me.
Don't tell me what I should do. Just move or else.
Or else, what will you do?
I will throw you away.
Go ahead.
Said the monkey with a twinkle in his eye. Bheem decided to teach the monkey a lesson.
I will lift him by his tail and just throw him away.
He bent down to pull the monkey's tail. But, oh, wonder of wonders! He couldn't move the tail, even the slightest bit. It was heavier than 10 maces. Bheem looked up and saw a smile spread on the monkey's face. Without another word, he bent down again and pulled harder. The tail had become heavier than before. Perhaps it weighed 100 maces now. Bheem pulled with all his might, but the tail just became heavier and heavier. The smile on the monkey's face grew wider and wider. Bheem was now sweating all over. He was panting with all the effort. The monkey began to laugh. Bheem couldn't understand what was happening.
I can't believe this. It's just an ordinary monkey and I can't lift even his tail. Have I lost all my strength? I who could knock down giant with a flick of my fingers? What's the matter with me?
The monkey watched Bheem with laughing eyes.
An ordinary monkey is proving stronger than me. Now I will never be able to hold my head up.
Aloud, Bheem said to Monkey,
Forgive me for my rudeness. You have shown me that I am not the strongest of all. Pray tell me who you are.
The monkey stood up. He was big and powerful. He shone like the sun. It was none other than Mahabali Hanuman. He now spoke kindly to Bheem.
Don't lose heart. You are indeed very strong. But your strength should not give you a swollen head.
Bheem was overjoyed to meet Hanuman in person. With folded hands, he said,
I have learnt my lesson. Please give me your blessing. Just think of me whenever you need me, and I will be there with you. You will always be victorious. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Jai Shri Ram.
The Lion and the Mouse. A big, strong lion was sleeping in the sun. A little mouse was playing nearby. It ran here and there and between the lion's paws. The lion woke up and caught the mouse in his paw. The little mouse said, "Let me go, please. I shall help you someday." The lion began to laugh.
Ha ha ha! I am so big and you are so small. How can you help me? But anyway, I will let you go.
After a few days, the lion was caught in a net. Rolled and rolled. But the net was too strong. The little mouse heard the lion and ran to help him. It nibbled at the ropes of the net. The ropes began to snap, and soon the lion was free. The lion said, "Thank you, little friend."
This is the story of a foolish friend. Once there was a king who had a pet monkey. This monkey was a fool, but was treated royally and moved freely in the king's palace. He was also allowed to enter the king's personal rooms that were forbidden even for the confidential servants. One afternoon, when the king was asleep, the monkey kept a watch. All of a sudden, a fly came into the room and sat on the king's chest. The monkey swayed the fly away, but it would only go for some time and return back on the king's chest. The monkey got very angry and was excited. Foolish monkey started chasing the fly with a sword. As the fly sat on the king's chest again, the monkey hit the fly with all his might. The fly flew away unharmed, but the king was severely wounded. So the moral of the story is, it is better to have a clever enemy than a foolish friend.
The Ugly Duckling. Mother Duck was really proud of her 6 new ducklings. They were soft, fluffy and yellow. Such fine little ducklings. But the 7th one was very different. It was bigger and its feathers were grey and shaggy. It looked so ugly. All the same, Mother Duck thought, "It's my baby duckling." She loved it dearly. But the other 6 brothers and sisters didn't like the ugly duckling. When it waddled towards them, they turned their backs and ran away. The little ducklings would go for a swim every day to a lake nearby. The ugly duckling wanted to join the others, but they didn't want him. They always swam away from him. He was left all alone. The ugly duckling swam better than the other ducklings, which did not please them at all. They teased him about his ugliness. His only friend was his mother. Other ducks told his mother, "All your ducklings are smart, but this big fellow looks so different. Why is he so ugly?" His mother only said, "He is mine, and I love him too." At last, feeling very lonely and sad, the ugly little duckling decided to leave the lake. He made his way to the river's edge and swam away with the river. Wherever the poor duckling tried to seek shelter, he found that he was always ridiculed by others. Smaller birds, animals, even human beings poked fun at him. He became lonelier and more miserable. By and by, he grew bigger and stronger. But whenever he looked at his own reflection, he thought, "I look so ugly." He was afraid to look at his own reflection. He hid himself if he saw anyone coming. One day, when he was hiding among the reeds, he saw a flock of graceful white swans swim past. They were the most beautiful birds he had ever seen. "How wonderful to be like them," he said to himself. Then came winter with cold winds and snow. Without any shelter, the poor duckling was frozen in the snow. A kind man saw him. He broke the snow and saved the duckling. Soon it was spring. The duckling had now gained a lot of strength. Again, he found his way to the river's edge and swam further away. One fine morning, when he flapped his wings against his sides, he rose high into the air. He flew on and on till he found himself in a beautiful, fragrant garden. From a thicket close by came 3 beautiful white swans, rustling their feathers and gliding lightly over the smooth water. The duckling remembered the lovely birds. He was afraid to meet them, but he felt a strange longing to be with them. He made up his mind to approach them, no matter how badly they treated him later on. He swam towards the beautiful birds and bowed his head down to the surface of water. And what did he see in the clear stream below? His own image. No longer a dark, grey, ugly bird, but a graceful and beautiful swan. The other swans swam round the newcomer and welcomed him. The bird that had lived a miserable life as an ugly duckling was a swan after all. He curved his slender neck and cried joyfully from the depth of his heart. Daydreams. Once there lived a couple who spent a lot of time in idle talk. One day, the husband said, "I have always wanted to keep cows. If, by chance, I get some extra money from somewhere, I am going to buy a few cows. But that means a lot of work. You have to feed the cows, walk them, bathe them, milk them. Cows need a lot of looking after. One cow would be enough. There's no need to buy more cows," said the wife. "But think of all the milk we'll get if we buy more," said the husband. "That's true," the wife agreed. "There will be so much milk that we can even have plenty of dahi and butter and ghee. Wouldn't it be lovely? How lucky that I have all these earthen pots kept aside. I'll use one of the pots for milk, one for dahi, one for butter. The ghee I'll put in another jar. And I'll use this remaining pot to send milk to my sister. Send milk to your sister? Who said you could send milk to your sister? There will be plenty of milk if we have so many cows. Why shouldn't I send it to my sister? Because we are going to sell it in the market. That's why. I will decide what to do with all that milk. And not a drop of it goes to your sister. Remember. I'll see how you can stop me from sending a pot full of milk to my dear sister. I do all the hard work, running after the cows, so naturally I will decide what happens to the milk. Just try stopping me. The wife exclaimed. Is that so? Shouted the husband. Watch this then. He began to lift and smash the earthen pots one by one. His wife began to scream. Gopal Bhand, who was passing by, heard all the commotion and rushed inside. When he heard what had happened, he picked up a stout stake that stood in a corner and began to swish it through the air and pound it on the floor. The husband and wife were both astounded to see his antics. What are you doing? They inquired. Move aside, said Gopal Bhand. I have to drive away your greedy cows. You have let them wander, and now they have ruined my field of beans and cucumbers. Oh, my lovely field of beans and cucumbers! But you don't have a field of beans and cucumbers, said the husband. As soon as he said that, Gopal Bhand stopped wielding the stake and looked at him with raised eyebrows. The husband and wife understood what he was trying to tell them. Can you tell what he wanted to say? The Noble Stag. As we all know, King Brahmadatta of Benares was extremely fond of hunting. Luckily for him, on the outskirts of the city was a huge forest filled with deer. Among them, there was a mighty stag. One fine day, the king had gone hunting with his courtiers. He told his courtiers, "If you allow even a single deer to escape, I will punish you severely." So, the courtiers formed a tight circle from which no deer could escape. Then they began to beat their sticks on the ground to frighten the deer hiding in the bushes and to make them run. The only way out of their circle was through a small clearing where the king stood ready with his bow and arrows. The courtiers were beating their sticks on the ground and shouting when suddenly a stag leapt out of a thicket. The stag saw that the king was standing in the way. So he looked the king straight in the eye and made a dash towards him. The king was taken aback and shot an arrow towards the stag hurriedly. Of course, it missed the mark. But the stag rolled over. Now there is one thing that you must know about the stag. It has excellent instincts and is extremely good at dodging arrows, whether shot at from the back, front, or even the top. If an arrow is aimed at its belly, it pretends to roll over and then jumps up and runs once the danger has passed. So when the stag rolled over, the king thought that his arrow had found its mark. He lowered his bow and began to walk towards the stag. But the stag suddenly jumped up and shot past the men. When the courtiers realized that the king had been mistaken, they started to laugh. Now the king thought himself to be an excellent marksman and could not bear the taunts of his men. He grabbed his sword and set off into the forest in order to catch the stag. He chased the stag for quite a while and covered a long distance. The stag came upon a hole in the ground that was covered by a rotting tree and filled with slime. From a distance, it could smell the dirty water and so was careful not to run over it. But the king could not sense the pit and fell right into it. After a while, the stag realized that he was not being followed any longer. He understood that the king had perhaps fallen into the pit. So the stag went back to the pit and saw the king struggling for his life. The stag felt very sorry for the king. He decided to save the king's life, even though the king was following him with the intention to kill him. The stag told the king not to worry and to be brave for a while longer. He then caught a huge rock with his hind legs and lowered himself into the pit. The king caught hold of his neck and the stag climbed out onto the level ground and carried the king to safety. The king thanked the noble stag again and again and asked him to return with him to Benares, where he could have anything and everything he wanted. But the stag did not want anything in return for his help. He just requested the king to rule wisely and well and be kind to animals. Then the noble stag disappeared into the forest. King Brahmadatta then vowed not to hunt or hurt any animal. The Noble Monkey. In a forest glade on the banks of the river Ganga, there was a tall, shady mango tree. Every year, it bore big, juicy mangoes that were very sweet to taste. In the forest, there lived hundreds of monkeys with their king. The Monkey King was bigger, stronger, and also wiser than all the other monkeys. The monkeys loved the mango tree for its spreading branches, cool shade, and delicious fruit. They often played about on the tree and enjoyed eating the tasty mangoes. Their king warned them, "Don't let even a single mango fall into the river. If the current carries it down to the land of men, they will come here in search of the heavenly fruit and destroy the peace in this land." One day, however, a ripe mango fell into the river and was carried with the flow to the city of Benares. It was found by a fisherman who had never seen anything like it before. So he presented it to the king. When the king tasted a slice of the fruit, he liked it very much. He shared it with his queen and ministers. They all loved its flavor, and in the end, it was decided that a search party should be sent to find the tree that bore such a divine fruit. A fleet of rafts sailed up the river, carrying many of the courtiers and the king himself. By and by, the fleet of rafts reached the forest glade on the bank of the river and also found the mango tree laden with fruit. The king and the courtiers were overjoyed. When the king's men noticed the monkeys enjoying the fruit, they were annoyed. They decided to drive them away mercilessly. They sent volleys of arrows to kill the monkeys and to scare them away for good. The Monkey King swung to the other side of the river and ordered the others to do the same. "Move quickly, save your lives by vanishing deep into the forest on the other bank," he urged. However, he soon realized that the river stream was too wide for the others to follow. Quick as lightning, he did something very unusual. Catching hold of a tall cane with his legs, he swung back to the side where the other monkeys waited. Then he took firm hold of a branch of a tree. This way, he made a bridge across the river with his own strong body. The Monkey King then ordered the monkeys to rush to the other side over his own body. The monkeys lost no time in following his command. The Monkey King's body was being trampled upon and bruised and injured by the rushing hordes of monkeys, but he did not waver. He kept a tight hold over the cane and the branch till the last monkey landed safely on the other side. By then, he was badly injured and had lost all his strength. He fell down in a swoon. The King of Benares was watching this with amazement. He was touched by the bravery and sacrifice of the great Monkey King. He asked his men to stop shooting arrows. The unconscious Monkey King was gently lifted from the bank of the river and placed on a couch near the King of Benares. The king tried his best to revive the great ape. After a while, the Monkey King slowly opened his eyes. "Why did you sacrifice your life in this way?" said the King of Benares. "The monkeys are like my children. I am their chief and guide, and it is my duty to protect them. They are now safe, and I die a happy death. I am glad I could do my duty." So saying, the great ape closed his eyes forever. The King of Benares never forgot the great sacrifice that he had witnessed.
Union is strength. Once there was a farmer who had 4 sons. They always quarreled with one another. This made the farmer unhappy. One day, he called all the 4 sons. He gave them each a stick. He told them,
Try and break the stick.
one by one, they tried. Each one could break his stick easily. Now, the farmer tied up a bundle of sticks together.
Try and break this bundle.
Each of the sons tried and tried, but the bundle of sticks would not snap.
Do you understand what this means?
Said the farmer.
If you remain united like this bundle of sticks, no one can harm you.